The 1970s were a time of great change for the automotive industry. On the one hand, this decade gave us true icons such as the Ford Mustang and the Volkswagen Beetle. On the other hand, the oil crisis of 1973 presented unprecedented challenges to car manufacturers. How exactly did this affect the automotive world? Let's figure it out. In the 70s, the Ford Mustang became a true legend. Its aggressive appearance and powerful engine symbolized freedom and style. But even the Mustang did not escape changes. New environmental standards forced to reduce the size of the engines and make them more economical. But the Volkswagen Beetle was the complete opposite. Small, economical, affordable. This car has become a symbol of practicality and minimalism, conquering the hearts of people all over the world. The oil crisis of 1973 radically changed the rules of the game. American roads, which were filled with powerful muscle cars, witnessed their gradual replacement by economical models. Rising fuel prices have forced consumers to look for cars that use less gas. That's when Japanese cars like the Honda Civic and Toyota Corolla enter the arena. Economical, reliable, and cheaper to maintain, they quickly took over the market, becoming a popular choice for many. Car design has also undergone significant changes. Manufacturers began to create more compact cars, reduce the weight of cars with the help of lighter materials, and improve aerodynamics. Technological innovations did not stand aside either. Prototypes of electric cars and cars with alternative energy sources appeared, although they remained concepts rather than a mass product. The 70s became a time of change and adaptation. The automotive industry learned to survive in new conditions and adapt to the challenges of the times. This experience formed the foundation for many of the innovations we take for granted today. The cult cars of the 70s remind us that even in times of crisis, evolution and progress are possible. In addition to the oil crisis, the 1970s brought another serious problem: environmental standards. In 1970, the U.S. Congress passed the Clean Air Act, which required automakers to reduce harmful emissions. To meet the new regulations, companies introduced catalyst into exhaust systems and began switching to unleaded gasoline. These changes were expensive but necessary and changed the automotive industry forever. The 1970s became a period of struggle in the market. American manufacturers such as Ford, Chevrolet, and Dodge tried to maintain the popularity of their models by creating more compact versions of classic cars. But Japanese brands, with their economic models, began to gradually supplant competitors. In 1976, the Honda Civic became one of the most popular cars in the United States, proving that consumers value economy and reliability more than power and size. Responding to the challenges of the decade, automobile companies began to actively introduce new technologies. The first prototypes of cars with onboard computers appeared, cruise control systems became more affordable, and developments in the field of electric cars paved the way for the future. Although these innovations were still in their early stages, they set the direction for the industry for decades to come. Even in times of crisis, the 1970s gave us cars that became icons. Chevrolet Camaro and Pontiac Firebird kept the spirit of muscle cars alive. Dodge Challenger symbolized power and style. And Toyota Celica became an example of a balance between design and economy, winning the hearts of new generations of drivers. The challenges of the 1970s taught the automotive world to adapt to change. It was then that manufacturers realized how important innovation, environmental friendliness, and flexibility are in business. Today's Tesla electric cars, compact hybrids, and modern approach to design owe a lot to the lessons the auto industry learned half a century ago. The 1970s left a deep mark in the history of the automotive world. It was a decade of challenges and opportunities, the legacy of which we still see today. The cars of that time are not just transport. They are a symbol of an era that forever changed our perception of the car. In the 1970s, cars weren't just a means of transportation. They were an important part of pop culture. Movies like Smokey and the Bandit and Gone in 60 Seconds turned cars into true heroes of the screen. The Ford Mustang, Pontiac Firebird, and Dodge Charger became movie legends, and young people used their cars as a way of self-expression, decorating them with stickers, spoilers, and bright colors. The oil crisis forced car manufacturers to look for other sources of energy. The first prototypes of electric cars appeared, as well as attempts to use gas and biofuel. Although these designs were imperfect, they were the first steps towards the modern hybrid and electric cars we see today. In the 1970s, the car remained an important status symbol. Car advertising at the time often focused on the idea of the American dream. The Ford Thunderbird and Cadillac Eldorado became symbols of luxury, while compact models like the AMC Gremlin reflected a desire for economy without sacrificing style. The car spoke more about the owner than any other object in his life. Car interior design in the 70s also went through a revolution. The seats became softer, new materials appeared, and the comfort of the driver and passengers became a priority. It was at this time that automatic transmissions, cruise control, and the first attempts to integrate audio systems into the cabin became popular. Racing in the 1970s, such as NASCAR and the iconic Le Mans race, became not only a spectacle, but also a testing ground for new technologies. Automakers used sporting events to showcase the power of their cars and attract new customers. The youth of the 70s actively participated in amateur car shows and street races. It wasn't just about speed, it was about style, the sound of the engine, and the connection between the driver and his car. Cars in the 70s became an integral part of social life. Imagine family outings, trailer camping, or the popular drive-in theaters where people gathered to watch movies together without leaving their cars. The car was no longer just a means of transport. It was a space for communication, relaxation, and even romance. The 1970s also marked the final chord for the muscle car era. Due to the oil crisis and new environmental standards, cars with large, powerful engines have become too expensive to operate. Cars that were once symbols of power and speed have given way to more compact and economical models. It was a sad but inevitable end for legends like the Pontiac GTO or the Chevrolet Chevelle. The 1970s also became the era of globalization of the automobile market. Japanese brands such as Honda, Toyota, and Nissan began to compete actively in the American market, offering reliable and economical models. This not only changed the market in the US, but also prompted local manufacturers to adapt to the new requirements, creating competitive models that could withstand the onslaught of foreign cars. The legacy of the 1970s is still felt today. Modern models such as the Ford Mustang and Dodge Challenger successfully combine retro design with modern technology. The car museums of the 70s attract the attention of fans all over the world, and the restoration of old cars has become a popular hobby. This decade left behind not only cars, but also a spirit of innovation and passion for cars that still inspires automakers and drivers. The 1970s was an era of change, challenges, and big automotive dreams. From the legendary muscle cars to the beginning of economy and compact models, this decade shaped the path of the automotive industry for decades to come. Let's preserve this story, because every car from the 70s has its own unique story that deserves to be told.